to the Elsewhere podcast with Kat.
Yay! So welcome, guys. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to probably end up doing an intro and all of that stuff. So I don't even know how to do this not live, you know? Usually I'm like, hey, guys, I'm here with these amazing people. And here they are. Like, that's kind of how I start things.
It's okay. Not live is good too.
Yeah. No, it's amazing because then I can just cut that whole show that just happened right out. Just we can go. So yeah, Dave, we've met before. You've been on with me in the past, and I really appreciate you coming back. Welcome back. It's been a minute because you were here back, and you were like the first person that was on that had anything to do with like metal.
That was I think that was like late 2022, something like that. So like thank you for having me back. I had a great time talking to you the first time, and you let me come back.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, I've been stalking you slightly. Like I've been kind of keeping tabs a little bit. Like I've taken on a lot, so I try not to stalk too many people. But I have kind of kept an eye out just to see what's coming out and, you know, give stuff a like or give stuff a listen when I have an opportunity, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I've definitely tried to keep tabs, but I'm glad that you're back so you can just tell us all what's going on. And Melissa, welcome in. I've seen you on videos. I've never spoken to you in person, so I'm really excited that you are here and that you could make it. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And for anyone that's new and doesn't know, these two are both vocalists and they are amazing. And at some point I will insert a song clip here somewhere.
Yay, music.
It's gonna happen. Cue music, Kat.
Yay, music. we like the noise. We are purveyors of
and I'll
noise.
Definitely, and if you copyright claim me, I'm not going to be mad at you. It's cool because I'm not monetized, so I don't care.
Yeah, well, that's how we are.
I don't make money anyway.
Yeah.
Take it all.
Yeah. You got it. You got
take my 25 cents.
Yes. Here's my $1.50. No, but what's really cool is that you guys are both vocalists, and you both are, and obviously we're talking about specifically, this is where I know you guys is from A Dark Halo. And you guys are both vocalists, and my favorite song is Afterworld. I still listen to it consistently. I still request it on reaction streams and get amazing reviews for it. So they absolutely love it. And it just hits different. It's something that people don't expect. And they love to see female vocalists, and then they love that there's not only just a female vocalist, but there's a male vocalist, and that's just 'cause every single time. So, I mean, just to start off, I'm just curious because I don't think you guys don't live in the same area. Mm-hmm. How did you guys end up meeting up and collaborating and making this happen? I'm just curious.
Mel, you want me to start on that?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So I think I may have actually blabbed some of the story last time we talked, but A Dark Halo has been around for a hot minute, and then after a long hiatus, we got it back together in late 2018, and just started trying all this stuff that we felt we were mature enough to try, that we weren't ready to try the first time. more slightly prog songwriting, guest vocalists, things like that. And I had been experimenting and doing vocal trade collabs with a number of vocalists, including Anna Hell from Conflict and Kathleen Silkuski. And we had found that having the female vocals in a Dark Halo was like the secret missing ingredient. It was there are bands that we've looked up to and admired for a long time, like Devin Townsend in particular, and he's got Annika and Che on his records most of the time. And what I really like about that sound is the symbiosis and the female vox cutting through places that the male vox don't cut through, and vice versa. And you get this like really yin yang with the duets, which I wasn't headed out to add a fifth person to the band in the first place. But after we had done a couple of those collabs, we'd kind of known, guys, like this is working too well. It's a part of the sound now. We dig it. So Mel I had known about for a while. I wanted to build a Dark Halo back up. With its its Spotify standings and just general awareness before I had approached anyone about a full-time gig. And I very, very, very timidly approached Mel on social media because I had known about, and Mel can and should talk more about this, but I know her through a band called Mechana, which is probably in our little subgenre, in the cyber metal subgenre. Mechana is one of the, if not the biggest by streams player in all of cyber metal, and I had become familiar with their work. I'm guessing it was probably through Cryoshock. That was the first time I had heard Mel. So I knew like I wanted to expand this like a Dark Halo gerrymandering with other artists, and I friended Mel, and I sort of like. I wanted to ask right away, but I didn't. It's like, okay, no, let's build up some rapport, and then I think I actually remember telling you part of this story last time we talked. But what did it for me is that I'm a horrible gear nerd, and one day Mel.
We did talk about.
Yes.
We did talk about that.
We did talk. Okay, yeah. So yeah, like just recapping that. Mel was asking about was asking a tech question about a guitar, and that was too far for me, and I just like word vomited onto her page.
Nerded out.
I nerded out bad. I nerded out bad. I'm like, what do you want to buy? You want to buy this guitar up here, and it's gonna be crazy. You need an Evertune bridge because if you do that, you're gonna get caught. It was so bad. But she picked up the guitar and was like, I really like this, and then at that point I couldn't help myself anymore. I was like, do you want to do a collab with a Dark Halo? And she was already familiar with the project, which I thought was awesome. She was like, I know who you guys are, which made me happy and surprised me and struck me. But it was originally just going, and I'm going to shut up here in a second because I've already talked a lot, but it was originally, when we first started speaking, going to be just like kind of a one-off collab, and we talked about all kinds of like, do we do an original? Do we do a really, really heavily manipulated cover of something? Figured it all, let's figure it all out. But by the time we got about halfway through Afterworld, the quality of deliveries that Mel was giving me and the quality of collaboration and co-songwriting and all this, again, none of this is to the detriment of any of the other vocalists we've worked with, because they've all been awesome, but Mel provided this co-composer component that I had never really co-composed with a vocalist before, and it was just like, oh my god, she's got the sound that was just like, I already knew her sound was perfect from listening to her work with Mechana. I knew that was going to fit no problem. And so now we have this collaborator with the right voice. And so, I got together with the band, and I very, very sheepishly approached Mel and said, like, do you want to join the project full time? And thank God she said yes. But
She said
that's
yes.
how we met. So too long didn't read. The short answer is, how did we meet? I was stalking her band.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just wanted to interject two things. And one of them is that one thing I have noticed is that um, metal as a whole, as the normies, let's just say normies. I'm a normie, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, metal as a whole, when you think about it, if you are not like, I'm talking like in it, like you are into it, you follow it, you go to the shows, you do all those things, right? Metal is like this big genre that's heavy and it's, and that's what people think of it as. But inside of it, it's a very small world. And y'all
It
know who each
kind
other
of
are,
is.
and you guys pay attention to each other and you follow each other, and not in a negative way. It's like, in a, hey, I respect you. You're pretty awesome. That kind of thing. Like,
Hmm.
I've noticed that quite often when I've talked to anyone that is in the metal or heavy rock and stuff like that. And even kind of goes to another point I was going to make, which I've noticed also that it doesn't matter how amazing a vocalist is, or a guitarist is, or a drummer is, or a band member of any sort is. If it Sometimes it just ain't it, and it's not them. It's not personal. It's just there's a sound, there's a click, there's a vibe, there's something that just locks into place, and it just makes it just elevates what you do. And this happens across any genre, to be completely honest. And people that I've talked to consistently say this across the board, especially ones that are in bands that might have had different members join or leave or come back or anything of that nature. It's just you find, and you're like, oh, and something just clicks, and you just know, and they inspire you to do more and to push yourselves and to, bounce things off each other. That's nothing against someone else and what they do or are capable of. It's just
Exactly.
for you, it's just like finding, a significant other. I mean, for you, that person, is perfect. And for someone else, they're like, what the heck? You
Yeah.
know, it's just how it works. It's just, you got to find the right fit. And when you do, you got to go for it. And your version of going for it was you like the guitar. The guitar is amazing. You geek out over that. And do you want to join us?
Yeah. Do you want to as a
By the way,
vocalist? Yeah. You can bring
you
the
like guitar.
guitar.
Like, can you join the band?
Yeah. You
Just,
can bring the guitar. I totally like. That's fine. Yeah.
I'll even show you how to use it in person.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
plug it in.
This is
And
actually the guitar right behind me. This one
nice.
right here.
Yeah. This is its friend up here.
Oh, twinsies.
Yeah.
Twinses.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome because honestly, that's the thing is that I've noticed it's really hard to reach out to people. It's not easy. People
Mhm.
think that everybody, I mean, and people do know each other, they know of each other, but there are people, like huge people in huge bands that are like, ah, when they go to reach out to someone in another big band because they're just like, oh my gosh, it's this person and I respect them and I appreciate them and I love what they do. They still get that little like hesitation, like, oh, should I say something? Or,
Even stars get starstruck, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I met Dave, it was pretty crazy because one, I saw all these pictures of his really cool studio, and two, like all the band members that were inside of this project were very talented and very kind, and yeah, it was definitely one of those unique moments in my life, and one that I'll always hold in my heart very, very dearly.
Oh, it's a meet
I've-
cute.
yeah. We're so lucky to have you. I am so lucky to have you. Here we are, like 3-4 years later, but I'm telling you with a witness right now. Like, thank you so much for joining the project. It's been
It's been a blast. Dave has become one of my best friends, and I've just gained a beautiful family of people who love music as much as I do, and work hard on producing something that we hope changes the world.
And you've got a home base in Texas now, so you know where to get tacos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Best brisket.
Hmm.
Smitty's. Shout
Hmm.
out. Let's
Hmm.
go.
No, I mean that's honestly that's amazing. The thing is that you guys have a unique sound. Like I said, my favorite song is Afterworld. I play that over and over. It's still on my top, like my top. I'm not gonna say top 10, my top 20 list. It just depends because
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear so much music and people send me tracks all the time to listen to. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think you should do this? I do lyric videos for people. Like, so I'm constantly hearing music, but and so things come up into the top 20 and the top 10, but it's solidly stayed in my playlist consistently, and it's still a go-to um, when I request from reactors because I do that quite often. I usually do new stuff, but then if I'm like, I'm gonna do something different, I usually pull that out of my bag, and they always love it every time. So for me, it's like there's a sound that's down here that you can hit with that really low tone, and then there's a sound that's up here you can hit with the really high tone,
Hmm.
and then there's all the stuff in between, and you guys encompass the whole thing. Like you can get you hit all of those levels on all those different waves, and it makes sense, and it kind of is like it weaves together pretty well. So I
Those.
personally like it.
Thank you. And honestly, like those duets, those harmonies that I sing with Mel, they're like my favorite thing to write. And she and I'll get pretty nerdy about it, which I think is actually a part of the magic that works. But
Yeah,
like with that track, "It Never Sleeps," for example. I went in and I got very music theory nerdy, and I wrote a cantus firmus, and then I wrote a legit counterpoint for Mel, and we just kept massaging those parts until every part of the triad was represented.
that's
In
perfect.
Yeah, so in most places it will be a duet, but Mel and I also like. I should. I know we talked some about this last time, Kat, but Mel and I also listen to a lot of stuff like way outside of metal, including country, and some of that vocal production technique that we have in A Dark Halo. If you were to take it apart and analyze it, something like Afterworld, that's other than the yelling, it's pure Nashville, and I mean that in a good way, like
No,
very,
I agree
yeah,
with you completely because you can
yeah,
tell when those vocalizations come in, you shock the heck out of everybody. Everybody's like, whoa, what? Didn't see that. They never see it coming. And not in a bad way. They're like, oh. You know what I mean? Because the whole build up for it is just this. It's just you don't expect it. If you come in and you're having like you go into a breakdown the second you start the song. I mean, people are like, oh, I know it's coming, right?
hmm
It just kind of flows into it a little bit differently, and I think people really appreciate that. They appreciate the different tone, because not everything has to fit in a tiny little box. I mean, you can be auditory pleasing. I don't know what the word
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Auditorily pleasing without having to stick into, there's no set rules. Music is fluid, and
yeah.
music is subjective. So at no point in time, I mean, is it ever like, if you don't do this, then you're not that. That's not a thing.
No,
Fusion is everything, at least as far as what I've come to learn from my absolutely zero musical experience and my super judgy opinionated character.
yeah. Well, I mean, like you said it yourself. Metal has become an actually pretty big tent. It's a
Yes.
big parent genre, and you've got everything from modern blackened thrash to Christian hardcore to everything in between. Clowncore, dinosaurs, whatever you name it, somebody's doing it in metal.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's when Mel and I went to sit down to write Afterworld, that was our first collab together. We had a lot of talks about, hey, what if there was an Ingrid Andress song but it got really heavy, right? Or what if Casey Musgraves got like really heavy in the middle, or any one of these artists. I'm reaching for like country singer songwriters here,
Right.
but we had just thought of focusing really, really, really hard on those melodies, counter melodies, harmonies, hook writing. It's part of the reason that A Dark Halo is so slow is we get really deliberate and nerdy about every syllable like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when we wound up with Afterworld at the end of it, I could not have been happier with the outcome.
And I hate to focus on just one song, but it's the one that I know best because I
That's
play it
fine.
a lot.
Yeah.
And one thing I was going to ask is it's just because I know that both of you are in multiple projects. You work on multiple things with different people. Correct? If I'm not mistaken,
No,
did I get that right?
that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so, out of curiosity, do you tend to have the same roles in every project that you're in, or do you like in this project I'm a vocalist, in this project I'm a dancer, in this project
Yeah,
I'm the producer, like, you know what I'm saying, like, do you switch up your roles or do you tend to kind of stick to one?
For me, I'm in 3 different projects. So Melrose being my own project that I created. That I have full control over production of all instruments, including vocals. And then for Mechana, I just do vocals. And then for A Dark Halo, I do vocals and guitar. So vocals across the board. Um,
Right.
it's a bit of a change with The Dark Halo and production on Melrose.
it's sort of a spectrum across those three, right? Like depending on
Hmm.
like how involved things are at the time, I guess. Not that that matters, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's the same for me. The only full time project that I'm in is A Dark Halo. All of the other music things that I am engaged in are either things that I'm working on for work, which I can't wait till I can get into that. I can't get into that quite right now, but I'm doing a bunch of co-composition with a very, very cool composer. And that's been mainly production work, instrumental arrangements, things like that. And he's been handling all of the vocals on his side. With the Dark Halo, I'm the, for lack of a better term, the executive producer
Right.
director on that project. So all of the production will eventually come through my workstation on that project, and then everything else that I'm involved in is mostly one-off collabs. Done some stuff with The Last Bearender, done some stuff with Conflict, done some stuff with Beyond the Gallows, and that's completely their auteur, right? That's their role.
Right.
I might include extras like, oh hey, I thought this one keyboard sound would be cool if you want it, but you know it's up to them. It's on them.
Now, I was going to say that I have heard The Last Bear Ender, and
Mm-hmm.
I did know that you do, I was going to say, what's features? Is
Yeah,
kind of what I
yeah.
was like, as,
Features, sure.
I tend to be around rap a little bit more just
Mm-hmm.
because of the people that I'm around and, rap competition and stuff. So I tend to use that terminology because I finally figured some of it out. Um, so like I hear you on tracks and I hear your vocals. And that's why I was curious if you were doing like just that or if you like would get invited or do you say, hey, you know what, I like your music, I'm gonna jump on one of those, and they're like, you know.
Done both. There's no prescriptive answer. I've been cold call asked. I have cold call asked. I've danced around it and flirted with artists for a while. Like um, I kind of had been like Last Bearender was a perfect example. He covered one of our songs with one of our admins. Glenn, he's an awesome dude. He's the vocalist from Isolated Antagonist, and he and Wilrick from Last Bearender got together on the sneak, on the sly, and they covered in A Dark Halo song, which I thought was the coolest thing. And they were actually a little worried that I was going to be mad or want rights. I was just like, it's like you guys own this song now. They did such an incredible job, which really made me sort of fall in love with Wilrick's production. And then so I started poking him about, hey, if you ever want to do an original or whatever, I got my microphone over here. I'm good to go.
One thing that I tend to do is I love to interview female leads, vocalists. And I have had Lilac on, I've had Tulip on, I've had, some amazing, like, powerhouse vocals that just, like, rock the show every time that they're on stage. Got the opportunity to see them on stage, which is nice. But I'm just curious, what did you, like, wake up one day and say, feeling cute, I'm gonna try and sing, and then you're like, oh, well, that's what I'm gonna do forever.
So for me, I was singing before I could talk. Um, that's what my mom likes to say. So I was born musically attracted to anything I could get my, hands on. I love all music. And my mom loves playing classical music, especially Mozart. And I was in love with Mozart and would just sing like little melodies. And growing up, actually, I was very, very little. I can't say how old I was, but I would say like maybe kindergarten, maybe even pre-K. My mom put me into like a singing music class for little kids. And there was this exercise to follow the notes. It was like 3 notes, like just ascending or descending. And at that age, I guess it's not common to be able to execute that by when they hit the notes, someone to be able to hit those notes. But I guess I was the only little girl that was able to do it. And I guess it shocked them. And they told my mother immediately. They were like, she needs to do singing. Like, singing is her thing. It's going to be her thing. Like, you don't understand. She's musically brilliant in this area. Like, you have to keep doing this. This is great. We've never seen this before. So my mom was like, wow. And she put me in piano lessons, guitar lessons as well. And ever since then, I just been surrounded by music just since I was born, I guess. I just was born with it.
My older daughter, not this one, but my older daughter, when Musically came out, she was gonna be a singer. She's determined. And I said, before that, she was gonna be a dancer. And I told her, I was like, I don't think you understand, because you said someday you'll look back and you'll thank me, but at this point, you're not a singer and you're not a dancer, and here's why. Because you get home from dance class, and the first thing you do is you go sit on your butt. You don't practice. You're not dancing every chance you get. You're not doing the routines. You're not excited about it. You're like, I gotta get changed. We gotta stop playing and go. Okay, fine. You're not gonna be a dancer, because people that live and breathe, like, it's part of, like, their essence as a person. It's the way they think. It's the way they process the world is music, whether it be through dance or whether it be through, being able to play instruments or being able to, vocally do it, or even a producer or engineer, like that they have the ear, it's a way that you literally see, process, and interact with the world. It's ingrained, it's inherent, it's automatic. And if you don't live and breathe it with almost everything that you have, it's not going to happen, And so I was like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just saying, like, you just don't understand. Like, if you get it, you get it. When you find your thing, you'll get it. It happened to have been nails. She does nails now, so that's her thing. And she lives and breathes it, for what that's worth. They're like this long, and they're like all crazy cool and charms and stuff. So hey, you find the thing you love and you do it. But when it comes to being, musically inclined, at least that's what I've heard from people, and that's, I don't know, I just feel that way. Like, that's how it's how you hear things, how you see things, how you speak, how you articulate. It makes sense to you. And to
I
me,
think you're right.
That doesn't make sense, but it would to you guys.
Well, you touched on enough of it that I think you've made a point that it's not just some of us are called to the thug life of making music, right? But the way that you talk about how that helps you parse reality and how that helps you experience what constitutes objective reality is very much informed, at least for a maker like myself, by a concept called again, I'm bringing up Devin Townsend again because he talks about it a lot, but he talks about synesthesia in the yeah.
See, hearing colors.
Hearing colors, right? And that's always really, really resonated with me. Like this song is green. This song is red. This lyric is black. This lyric is gray. And it's really kind of the craziest thing. But even just that little thing, and I think more people than not are actually synesthetic like that. I think you could tap 5 people on the shoulder in the street and be like, "Hey, what color is the number 5?" And without thinking, they'd be like, "Oh, I know what color the number 5 is." Right?
So it'd be white for me.
See? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why, but it would be white. I don't know why. You'd think you'd write in black usually, right? But for me, it'd be 5. It would be painted on a sign.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that, but since I'm just saying.
That's you're proving the point exactly. That I think synesthesia is a very common trait in humanity, and I think part of what makes a musician is just learning to channel that right into beyond just colors and sounds, but taking something like, oh, here's an emotion, here's an experience, and this is what that experience sounds like. This is what sad sounds like. This is what determined sounds like. And it's exactly the same thing. You just apply it to different senses.
No, that makes complete sense to me. I mean, it really does. Like I said, I do listen to people's music, like when they're like, "Okay, take a listen to this. Does this make sense?" And I'm like, and I can never, I always say this, I can't articulate it properly. But if I ramble long enough, I usually get my point across. I always say, like, I don't know what I'm saying, but I know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, you'll hear, and I'll say, okay, it's here, and it should be here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, your vocals are here, and then here's the instrumental, but it should be here. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So
that totally
that's
makes
how
sense.
Everybody has to try and interpret what I'm trying to say, but that's what I do. Because then I don't hear, it's so weird, I don't hear songs emotionally for the most part. There's a couple that hit me at a weird part of my life. But when it comes to emotions, I'm not very emotional about music. Like, it doesn't, really sad songs don't make me tear up. Kind of.
Wow. Really? I have never come across this.
Yeah.
I'm really emotional when it comes to music, like extremely emotional. Like
a lot of people I know are. They really are. Like, people will say, "Oh my gosh, this song, like, oh, it just made me so sad," and I'm like, and this is not in a negative way. I'm just like,
I'm fascinated.
I mean, it did. It's sad. I understand it. It makes sense. I feel it, but it doesn't make me sad. Right? I feel the sadness. I can understand, comprehend, and process the sadness. I can not empathize, sympathize with it. Mm-hmm. Yet it does not push me into sadness, if that makes sense.
That's, and honestly, that would be a
like
a great
that's a superpower.
Trait, yeah, a trait to have in a producer. Because, like, if you were working, think about if you were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on something like a Pixar film. And and they've got 8 songs in that film that are designed by a spreadsheet to make you cry on purpose, right? The ability to backing up to what you just said a minute ago, like, you could tell the vocal should be here and not here. That part I like to think of as the unteachable part. I've read that part is called, very simply, good taste. You have good taste. That's not teachable. What is teachable is the vocabulary to connect those thoughts, so that if you want to take that thought of, like, the vocals aren't quite right and I can't say why, but you want somebody else to fix it, then
Right.
you can get the vocabulary of, oh well, this is collapsed in the stereo field and it needs to be a little bit wider, or I feel this is panned too hard right or left, or needs a low pass filter or whatever, and you learn those words, right? And
Right.
but all of that part is teachable. The unteachable part is, man, this is it's so hard to quantify, but the unteachable part is like, is it a banger or not? And
Right.
I don't
I
know how to
always
teach.
request bangers. I'm known
Yeah.
for it. There's a slight little flex. And you know what? Any of you guys, and I'm pointing at the people watching. Any of you guys, I dare you. See, I always when they are like, oh, Kat's requesting. Here we go, and I'm like, yeah, I know. You know, because some people, they just have a thing. I don't know, and you just know that it's gonna be. And some of the mass appeal stuff doesn't appeal to me. Some of the things that people are like, oh, this is amazing, and I'm like, I mean, it's good. I get it, but like I don't get it like that. Replay value is big to me, and a lot of things get zero replay value. And bands and artists do not get replay value based on their name from me. Songs do, if I like the song. But you're not going to get a replay from me just because you are who you are, ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can see, I know quite a few of them. You know, most of them I know personally or have interacted with. So that's how I got all of these. And not a single one of them is going to go on repeat, like in my stereo, without me handpicking which songs. It's just how it is.
That's
you know?
kind of one of the cool things about the Spotify age in which we live is there's good things about streaming, there's bad things about streaming. You can be for it or against it. It doesn't much matter. It kind of is the music industry right now. But one of the little silver linings that we can pick out is I'm kind of all about this like playlist lifestyle. I know there are a lot of people that still like to get an album and listen to an album track 1 to track 10 and experience the album that way, but I've been more into, I can create whatever little microcosm and universe I want to create inside of this one playlist. That doesn't mean there aren't albums that even newer later albums that I won't listen to top to tail, because there are. But I think it's pretty cool that you can make a best of everybody. I can make a best of myself if I want to. It's gonna be a very short list, but point being, pick out the bangers only.
Every playlist of mine is the 90s. So, I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, I pretty much you can give me 80% of the song in the 90s, and I'm like, cool. It doesn't matter what genre, I'm pretty much there for it. However, see, the albums that I listened to from front to back were Green Day. Except I didn't like the hidden track as much.
Yeah. I was alone. I was all by myself.
Thank you. Someone else knows that I talk about. People are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm if you know, you know. It's the Chekhov song at the end of the album.
Yeah. I'm afraid so. I'm going to agree with you. Like, I could have lived without it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I waited like a minute and a half on a cassette for this. Like, really? You had to wait, like, fast forward, and then it started over. But no, Rammstein's Mutter CD out their album. That one is a front to back. Linkin Park.
Meteora.
That's a front to back.
Yeah. They exist.
Okay, I'm gonna be a jerk. Is it Hybrid Theory first or Meteora?
I think Hybrid Theory was first, and then came
Hybrid Theory for
Meteora. But I think
Hybrid Theory for me, front to back, like consistent. And I mean, when you get albums like that kind of go one into the other to the next. Ren's new album is actually really good, and that one, every song kind of plays into the next one and builds on itself. That's a big deal for me, but I still don't listen to the whole thing. I appreciate it with one listen through, and then I pick the songs that I enjoy, and then the rest of them are in my database somewhere, for me to pick on at some later date. What if there was a song of yours that you have featured on, written, collabed with, performed on, or had something to do with that, let's just say that Gordon Ramsay is you on a plate,
Mm-hmm.
which one would it be for each of you?
Mel,
But it doesn't
you
have
go.
to be the same one, obviously.
Yeah.
I gotta go to my go-to, which is Cryo Shock. That one was really a staple uh, with Mechana and who I am today. You know, it really that song when it hit, it slammed, and people kind of were like, "Whoa, what's this? What's going on?" Um, and it was really fun to make. Like it was very different. It was very sci-fi. It was very heavy. The lyrics that Joe writes are absolutely outstanding. Yeah, that would be my pick. How about you, Dave?
Uh, hmm. I think I need to give a a more fairly recent answer in my own catalog, but I think if I had to pick one, maybe it never sleeps. It's it was lyrically and thematically very challenging and very personal to me on the one level, but it was also maybe the single biggest collaborative undertaking across the board the band has ever done. I mean, it was yeah, with like plane tickets and hotels and and really, 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 really sitting down and writing a song that we were completely and totally happy with. And so It Never Sleeps to me sort of represents. Um, I like being able to look at something that I've made and being like, I wouldn't touch a thing. And that's very, very rare for me, right? But It Never Sleeps was like everybody showed up. Everybody did exactly what they had to do. I had to do exactly what I had to do. And, you know, here we are, that video's been out for like just over a year or whatever. And I still no, I stand by this. I wouldn't change a thing. And it's got some of everything. It's got Abe, our lead guitar player, doing his thing. Kay is a complete beast on that track. When she came to the studio and recorded it with us at the video studio, it was just, like the energy was just there. I love the duet that Mel and I have, and I think it's thematically powerful. So there's a 1,000-word answer to a 20-word question.
Until you hit the lights.
No, it makes sense, and it's funny because actually I guessed that you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Because when you speak of that track, you speak with love. You speak with affection. I don't know how else to put that. You hear it in your voice when you articulate about that specific track, and when you're talking about it. And for some reason, it's getting dark in here. Sorry, I don't know. I just realized it's getting dark in here. But no, when you talk about that track, you have admiration and love and affection for it. Like it's close to you, and you can feel that, and you can hear that in your tone. So I had a feeling you were going to say that one. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, there's other. I'm proud of lots of stuff that I've done or been a part of, right? But that particular one, like I said, by the time it turned into renting the largest studio we've ever rented for a video and flying people down here and staying in hotels and eating too many tacos and it turning into halfway through the day, I remember our assistant director like slating a shot and just realizing like, wow, we're really, really, really doing it. You know?
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a milestone. It's a huge achievement, and it's a huge moment in your career that, speaks as to who you are for both of you, the songs that you chose. I mean, that's just something that, you spoke from you to you and about you. It makes sense completely.
Yeah, and it like meta also like it was in a more real way than anything else I've worked on. It brought a bunch of it's one of the it shows to me one of the good things about the internet and one of the good things about the post pandemic world that we live in that um, some of us were strangers. Mel had never met our guitar player Jonesy or Abe or Kay before, right? We were people that knew about each other. She was in a band in Chicago and I'm in a band in Austin. And, 20 years ago, that would have been like deal breaker really for any collaboration. And now now it's as simple as booking a studio, getting some plane tickets, and these internet friends are now like real friends. And there were so many of us there, counting the camera crew and everything. It was just awesome. Yeah, so like, yes, I'm proud of the piece, but it's sort of the meta of that story.
No, I get that. I really do get that. Like, I mean, and this is, I'm not going to include this, but I just went to Vegas 2 weeks ago. And I went with two content creators that are friends of mine. And we went last year. We're going to do it annually. And then we had fans come from their communities. And it was really funny because when we were there, we just all hang out. We're just like, I'm like this in real life. Like, this is who I am. And I'm so sorry. But, it just is. I've just become this person. I finally got to be the person that I am, and I grow as I go. But these are like really good friends of mine, like super close. These two guys, and their fans came from their communities, and both of them were like, "It's Kat! Oh my god!" I'm like, "What?" They're like, "No, it's Kat. I watch your podcast. Oh my god, I'm so excited." They wanted to meet me. They didn't want to meet. They wanted to meet them, but they wanted to meet me. And
That's
it was like,
cool.
we've talked online. It just hits different when you can go to a space and just hang out with people that you feel are your people. It's just different. I don't know.
That part, because the internet has caused us as humans. It's caused us some woe. I'm very aware of that, but there's also a lot of blessings if you know where to look, and
True.
and that's one of them.
It saved me. I'll tell you that. It saved me. I'm still a hermit, but it saved me. The community that I'm involved with, the people that I work with, the people, especially now, the people at the beginning that kind of got me out of my shell and got me, somehow magically I'm talking to all of these people all over that do amazing things and create some amazing things for the world to have. Like, I get to talk to people who create sounds, and you can open their mouth and just do amazing things. Okay, wait.
Yeah. It's
Let me
okay.
rephrase that. Let me rewind. Okay. People who can open their mouth and, sound angelic or sound like a demon, or like, they can, make emotions come to life and that people want to hear in a way that I could never imagine. And I get to talk to people like that. It's amazing. And I never would have been here if it weren't for the people that supported me and the people that were like, hey, you've got to check this person out. Oh, you got to check. So I try to share that as much as I possibly can, which is why I have the CDs here. This is why my wall is up here. That's why you see all of this stuff. Everything that's here is autographed and given to me by the bands or the people. And most of them I try to buy because I want to support, in the best way that I can. But, I put them up here on display so that people can see. You look at all these amazing people and look at all this music that it's mine. Like, I have it in my hands. You guys have created something that I literally have in my hand. And, when growing up, that was unthinkable, right? Absolutely unthinkable. To
Feels
be able
good,
to
man.
talk to your heroes and to say, how do you make this magic happen? Like, does somebody say, hey, I was taking a shower and for some reason, the way that my voice resonated off of the shower walls, I had an idea for a hook, or I had an idea for a bridge. And what do you think? And then, you go into that, and then the other one goes, oh, that makes sense. And you collab, or does someone come with like, okay, I have an idea for instrumentals, or does someone, how does that work? Like, does someone start the process, I assume, or do you get together and start it together?
Mel, you want to?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends. Like there always has to be some sort of leader of the group. Or at least someone who is, has the quality to make sure that everybody works together well. So in my case, whatever Dave says goes, but at the same time, he allows me the creative, it gives me the ability to have a creative flow when it comes to writing music with him. So whether it be lyrics or melody, there's always some sort of collaboration to an extent to where whatever makes sense for the song goes. It's not so much I'm right, you're wrong. It's that here's my thought, here's your thought. Let's put them together and let's create something that's meaningful not only to everyone but most importantly ourselves.
Totally.
That would
And
make sense.
so I guess like that's in the context of within the context of a Dark Halo, like yeah, I'm the EP whatever, but like on Melrose, Melissa is the EP, and so how do you? Actually, I'd be curious to hear too. Now we're both interviewing you. So when you get collab work on a Melrose project, like Joe's going to jump in or one of your other friends are going to jump in, what does that look like? Like how is that different than ADH?
So I write all the songs from beginning to end, as close as possible. Starting off with just vocals and guitar, and where I can't make the pieces fall together, I heavily lean on Joe, and he helps with production and guitar work on all songs for Melrose. And then the rest, so like piano, bass, what else? Drums, everything else. Um, I just ask friends if they want to be a part of it. And if I get a yes, that's great. The only thing I haven't been able to record on my album is live drums, unfortunately. I would love to do that for this next album. Not that I have one in the works, but I'm hoping there will be an album very soon for me. Fingers crossed things stay for a Dark Halo, otherwise I wouldn't be making music.
That's what Mel is being humble. Mel and Mechana just dropped a banger of a single just like 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But that's how it works for Melrose. And then I can talk about Mechana stuff too. For Mechana, that's all Joe. Joe has reign over everything, not in a bad way. He'll have some sort of structure, and then I'll go in and like sing ad lib. I'll just sing a bunch of different melodies, like a bunch of different times. And so we'll just do like whether it's la 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 la's just with melody, or if he has pre-written lyrics, which happens sometimes, I'll just sing a bunch of stuff. And then he'll take my vocals and like mix it how he wants it to sound, which I'm totally cool with, because I still had a creative input on it. And then whatever comes out, it's normally a masterpiece. I'm happy with helping, and he'll write all the lyrics for the song. I may have a couple like, hey, this word fits better than this word that you had, and he'll be like, oh yeah, totally, that sounds way better. But Joe is like 99% the writer for Mechana. I help where I can, yeah, that's the creative process for those.
And I don't know about you, Mel, but I kind of like having varied projects like that. Like I like having here's the project that I'm the leader of, and blah 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 blah. And then I really do also enjoy equally as much, just in different ways, when I'm working on somebody else's vision, because you find yourself in the spot that you're supporting this idea, or at least I do find myself in these spots supporting these ideas that I outright would not have had. It's an idea that's beyond something that would have come to me, and so I'm just using my tools to support their vision. And to me, that can be equally as fulfilling.
And to add, the one area that Dave and Joe both give me free reign on is harmonies. And that's a lot of fun. It's really hard to say, well, sing this harmony like this, because there's millions of different harmonies you can make over a line. So both of them are very much like, have at it. Like, give me what you got. And I normally do three layers plus, depending on how I'm feeling, maybe 3, 4, 5 tracks of harmonies for them to play with.
I love it. Yeah. Coming back to Mel's deliveries are these like hobby kits that are just like producer's dream. So there's whatever we'll key out. You know, a lot of times we'll key out a melody on the piano, like this is the core melody, right? And then she'll just go ham, like she's saying, and I'll get this drop from her that's like, main melody head voice, main melody chest voice, harmony 1 2 3 4 head, harmony 1 2 3 4 chest, and it's just like it's awesome because it's more than I can actually use in the production, and it gives me a lot of leeway and leverage to sort of stitch together. Okay, this is going to be the Melissa experience, right? I can take some of this and some of that and some of this and some of that, and
She just turned British, huh?
it's you know what?
He does that sometimes.
I was like,
I was here for it. He fell right into it, and I'm like, "Yep, this is happening."
I know I hear that. I know I'm not crazy. Well, I'm not crazy about that. I think it was hilarious. I was just like, is he British?
I think that's
really good American.
That's a spinal tap problem. I think that voice is my go-to. Whenever I'm over explaining an artistic idea, I need to do it.
Snobbery, like in Naples or whatever. Like
no, don't look at it. Don't touch it. It can't be played. Right? Like it's Spinal Tap, guilty. I did it. It'll probably happen again at some point tonight. But.
Well, it makes sense. Hold on. Sorry. It makes sense that the multiple, her handing you literally the building blocks of, guess what? If you wanted to do it this way, but then here you wanted to kind of switch it up and do it this way, it's all there. It's like, I'm going to articulate it in a weird way again. In my head, it makes me think of like a keyboard. Mm-hmm. She's handing you a keyboard full of keys instead of just the white keys or just the black keys. She's handing you the whole set so that you don't have to use all the keys for everything you're doing. But when you want to use it, it's there.
And it's super, super cool and a really awesome way to be able to work. And like I said, it just is what it is. A Dark Halo, up until that point, I had written all of the parts for me, as well as all of the parts for any guests, right? And it was just, excuse me, it was just very prescriptive. I apologize. Sing this note, not that note, change to this note here and there. And then Mel, the first delivery I ever got from her was in the beginning of Afterworld, where there's all that piano stuff. She had written the melody to the whole like cruel is the dawn and arriving every day, and she had done it before we had touched any of the lyrics. She just gave me this drop that was like laws and ahs and vocal sounds, la 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 la, right? And she had put enough heart into that I was able to drop it over the piano part, and even without the lyrics I could just hear it's done. Okay, you wrote the verse. And then
that's getting inserted. That section, by the way, is going to go right there.
Okay.
So people can hear exactly what you're talking about, because I can hear it in my head. I know what you're talking about. So.
You know what yeah. When Mel's vocals come in like all soaring high, just right there out
I
of
was
the
gonna
gate.
say it's up here.
Yeah.
It's up here. It's like, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, she wrote that. She wrote that entire melody before we had a single lyric committed pen to paper.
See, and that's interesting because I keep waving my pen around. It's really interesting because people have different processes for the writing. Like some people, they have lyrics and then they kind of fit them into a specific way of delivery. Again, I'm using rap terms for some reason.
No, it's fine.
Like they deliver them a specific way. They fit them into a flow. Some people, they have a almost like, okay. And then they write the song and then they put lyrics to it. And some people do it at the same time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It's all over the place. And sometimes it depends on who you're working with, how that comes together. Because if you're working with a different team, for a project, and you have that's the way you guys mush together, you work on it this way. And sometimes people already have this part done. That's kind of their thing. It's the dynamic. And I think it'd be kind of cool to be in different projects where it kind of works a little differently each time. But you can kind of flex those muscles each time, right?
It's totally dope to have that variety. I think, yeah. I enjoy when I have written a melody that I consider a banger and that's usually taken me weeks and weeks and weeks, and I enjoy it equally as much, maybe even more so, when I open an email from Melissa and I've been handed a banger. Right? It's like actually, I'm sorry. I got to do the timeout thing because I have to deal with a noise issue real quick. Sorry.
It's completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way that this saves is it pulls raw video and raw audio. And so I'll make sure that the vocals sound pretty. I mean, they're not going to sound crazy. But basically it's saving on your end so that so even if his looks pixelated or mine looks pixelated, the final product won't be. Because yours is almost completely uploaded. His is a little slower, but ours is going pretty quick.
Nice.
We're staying uploaded like on point. We're both at 99% the whole time. So
Dave must be on that Wi-Fi.
He's on that Wi-Fi.
I'm on that Wi-Fi.
I'm on a direct. I had a weird question, and this is one that this isn't necessarily for the podcast itself. I was just out of curious. Where are you located? I know you're in Austin. Oh, you don't know who I'm pointing at. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're in Austin, so you know that's you. And where are you located?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay. Here's why I'm asking, because for some reason I put 2 and 2, and I know that it went to 85 because I know there's more than one studio in each city. I'm not stupid, But so someone I work very closely with, I'm talking we were in meetings today, and I basically run his channels. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cliff Beats. He is an industry ghostwriter. He has a reaction channel. He is a signed ghostwriter with a label. And he owns a studio in Chicago, in Aurora. And I thought, for some reason, I'm like, I wonder. And I'm like, probably not. Because I'm sure he deals generally with, hip-hop artists and stuff of that nature. But...
interesting. So Joe, so me and Joe are kind of in the Aurora area, and he does a lot of work with rap artists.
Oh, okay. Well, he owns Gremlin Studios.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I already know where this is going. Yeah, he used to work there.
I was just asking. I know Cliff. He's a good friend of mine, and we work together, and we're actually him and I are going to be doing a podcast that has to do with more of his subscribers and interacting with his audience and stuff of that nature. So it'll be a different tact. He also wants to interview artists and things of that nature, but I started it, cool. So he can just. But anyway, he technically doesn't understand anything. I
haven't heard Gremlin Studios in such a long time.
Well, he just got it a couple years ago.
Nice. Yeah,
So
Joe worked
with
there
the,
a while
it looks
ago.
like an alien, but it's headphones.
I don't
That
know the current
icon,
logo.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know
that's.
the old
Oh,
logo.
I don't know if he just took it over. I just think that's funny, just
That
because
is very cool.
and it's just weird that what are the odds? I mean,
Yeah.
really.
Like you said, it's a
No,
small world in the metal world. It really is.
it
It's
really
very small.
is. It really is, and it's funny because a lot of the different, excuse me, a lot of the different I don't want to say talents, but skills that you have for every different genre, whether it be for rap and hip hop or metal, country, any of them, right? I mean, you've already mentioned before that fusing those in there and using those to build songs and things makes sense, and it does make sense. But those skills are applicable, like they do translate. Understanding music and how it works and how harmonies and melodies and writing works and how lyrics go together and what makes sense translates across genres.
Oh
So
yeah,
as much as
totally.
people like to be gatekeepers of their genre, the fact is you can have a metal artist that goes into the country space and is still capable of putting out an amazing track that you know that's my
I
opinion, though.
just
I know
yeah
people
no no
are
I think
real
it's
opinionated about that.
I think it's a great opinion, and I think there's actually like subtle levels and different layers that I think about when I'm borrowing something from another genre. A lot of times, what I'm borrowing from another genre outside of metal isn't necessarily something that would be big enough to get noticed as like, oh, they've genre crossed, right?
Mm,
It's just a little lesson. Like again, going back to Afterworld, the way the manner in which Mel and I filled out those triads, that that very simple thing, right? To
mm-hmm.
me, I was drawing on lessons from Nashville when putting together the way those vocal harmonies work. But it's not enough that I don't think anyone would listen to Afterworld and say that's a metal country crossover, right?
No,
And yeah, and
I
the
don't.
same thing with hip hop and rap. I'll take sometimes it's even like a very small lesson. Like I'm listening, someone dropped a dope ass beat, and I can't get enough of the beat, right? And I'll start picking it apart to be like, oh, it's that that kick drum. Oh, that kick drum is really non-traditional. Oh, I would have never thought to use that thing as a kick drum. That's a lesson, right? And it goes. Some are big lessons, some are small lessons. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of Mechana and a Dark Halo actually have this in common. There's a lot of French horn, there's a lot of string section, there's a lot of viola, violoncello, right? And all of those lessons to me, even though there's a lot of symphonic crossover in metal, to me all of those lessons come from Hollywood, not metal, right?
Right.
Um, all of every backing track I've ever done, backing up the strings against something Melissa is doing or a French horn against something that I'm doing, all of that is something more like I would have heard James Horner or Hans Zimmer or somebody like that have undertaken. And so it's this teeny little lesson. It's just
Right.
it's a violin line, and it's the way I'm leading the violins, right? I've selected this violin note and not that violin note, and it's all these like micro lessons from music. Music is just too big to me to be contained in just one genre. There's just like so much to love.
Hmm.
And I get that as humans, we tend to put things into boxes and we tend
Hmm.
to compare things to things we understand. Like people say, oh, that sounds like, and they compare artists to other artists all the time. Oh, well, that sounds like Linkin Park. Oh, that sounds like, they always, and people are like, oh my God, everybody says that. Well, yeah, because as humans, we tend to put labels on things
Yeah.
because we want to fit it into a box that we understand. Now, after a while, people start to stand out a little bit more, but when you first hear something and it triggers something, you're like, oh, I like that. That sounds like somebody that I know that I like. It's not a negative thing. It's a compliment most of the time. However, I just think that, it's so subjective, you know? And I think that if people really knew, when people are building instrumentals and building beats and doing the production and stuff, where they draw from, just the weirdest places, which is kind of cool. I mean, I've known people who hear a sound and they're like, oh my gosh, and they start like humming a melody, and I'm like, where did you get that? They're like, didn't you hear that car go by? And I was like,
That kind of thing.
no, but okay, like that's, and they're like, oh, that car, you know, that car part of the beat, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, the car,
you know,
car
that
part
car
of the
part of
beat.
the beat.
It
Gotcha.
was, well, it was the right color, and it made sense to them, right? So we're back to that synesthetic thing.
Yeah, it fits. I just, I mean, honestly, I love the fact that you guys work together so well and that you enjoy the relationship that you have with your work and when you're collaborating and when you're getting to work on projects together. And I love the fact that you guys have your separate projects as well that are doing so that you just shine in. I mean, honestly. And, you know, it's cool to know that you guys found each other, for lack of a better way to put it. You know, I mean, that's just something that not everybody gets. People sometimes, oh, I wish, you know, if I only just had someone that I could bounce this off of. But no, I'll go it alone. I got this. You know, but you guys are like, you know what? We want to work with great people, and we want, you know, to give artistic license to, you know, what you do well. And I just think that that's so much mature and really well done of you guys,
Oh,
as
thank you again.
pompous as
Like
that sounded.
no, I appreciate it, and like I said earlier in front of a witness, like I feel like I got the much better end of the deal, but I'm very happy that Mel has been happy working with the project, and another, it's just one of those things, like you said, the internet is sort of, it's created a gravity, right, like objects being attracted towards each other.
Right.
And we've seen that in, I know you've seen that with like the reactor community and the hip hop community, and it's all it's all kind of this, like, not to borrow a sci-fi term, but it's all kind of this singularity congealing, right? I found you through Kudasari,
Yes.
right? And Kudasari already knew about Mel, and now Kudasari is one of our admins. She's running our Discord and helping us out with Facebook, and it just small, 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 small.
It's crazy how people can, and that's the thing, and I talk about this all the time. This is one of my, and one of these days I'm going to do a video on my opinion, which is not based in any fact or research. It's just what my brain thinks. And I'm less as much, I think, like color and feeling. And I always picture that the people that I'm super close to, the people that I really resonate with, they have, like, we're all, I always say it's like we're all on the same frequency.
Hmm.
Okay. And the
Mm-hmm.
people that you're close to that you just click with, they might not be on your frequency, but they're a couple points off. They're in your vicinity. And then there's the people that come up to you and you're like, you just have that, you know, it's just not, you know, you just feel it. They're just not the person that is going to you get along with, or whatever the case may be. And they're over there on that frequency. So the people that you are around, and then you have someone else, you're like, oh, I really think this person's really great, and I think you would like them, and you introduce them, and they're like, wow, we really get along. This is great. Because you're all in that same kind of vibing on that same frequency, or at least near to it. And that's why people like the tracks like. That's why people end up in echo chambers sometimes. You just have to prevent yourself from,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not accepting outside influence or opinions and, you know, being stuck in, you know, your own little whirlpool. But aside from that, that's, you know, if you mess with someone who's pretty cool and they introduce you to someone they think's pretty cool, generally it's going to work out. And that's how that chain, you know, everybody's like a couple degrees away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just hard to make that jump from like me to the person that's over there versus, you know, me to this person who knows that person and now we're friends type of thing. And I
Yeah,
just,
I think that 6 degrees of separation that they used to talk about, just simply because of the internet, is going to have to go down a couple of degrees. Like, I can't imagine anyone being more than 4 degrees separated at this point, unless they're like an intentional hermit. I mean, how how likely was it that Gremlin Studios would come up tonight?
That was wild.
And and now I'm like, I hope I didn't like mess up or something. Like I hope that wasn't
No.
like a bad experience or
No, no, no,
something.
no, not at all.
You're
But no,
just
like I'm
proving how small it is all.
Yeah.
no, exactly. That's why,
Yeah.
and I thought it was funny because I heard the word Chicago, and I'm planning on going to Chicago this summer. Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm a single mama. It's probably not gonna happen, but I'm gonna try. That's my goal, right? I'm intending to try, and I want to go visit the studio. I want to go hang out with him and like do some live, stuff at where he streams from. Um, and it's just funny because we work really closely together. And today we were in meetings, doing stuff, and talk. We talk all the time, and I want to go see the studio. And I don't know, you said Chicago, and I'm like, and then you said studio, and I'm like, what are the chances? There's like 8 million of the darn things, And I was waiting for you to be like, oh, well, generally those kind of studios don't have like the equipment that we tend to use and stuff. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I know. I'm like,
See?
oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
And then I was like, I hope it wasn't a bad thing.
no,
Because it might have been like, I don't know.
no. It's all good. It just proves, the industry is small, and it's funny. Like Mel and I could probably come up with other examples of this too, because in our daytime, our Batman capes is, and I think I know I mentioned this also last time you and I spoke, Kat, that one of the things about a Dark Halo that makes it interesting to us at least is that most of the people involved in the project are full-time game developers, and that's like an even smaller community. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
See, and it's funny because Lilac, I don't know if you know the band Lilac, but Lilac, they all are like, they all work from like the tour bus. They all work remotely in like some sort of an IT thing. Like they all do the same like job. And it's funny because she's like, I'm hacking during the day, like testing security systems, and then performing in the evening. And I'm like, okay.
It's super common. And that's only going to become more and more common, I think, as the industry progresses. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm actually not qualified to say, because it's going to give a lot of people more access to their dreams. I mean, now I couldn't have imagined 20 years, 25 years ago, like, just make a studio with equipment that you own. That's unheard of, right? And,
yeah, exactly.
And then be able to release it and get it on every distributor on the planet within 24 hours. Unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Unthinkable. And that's totally, totally cool because it's opened up worlds to me and to my friends and the people I love and care about. On the other hand, you could make the argument, I suppose, that it's going to saturate the market with talent in a way that the market can't sustain. Like, not everybody can have them rock star hundos, right? Right.
I would also see. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to this level. It's also going to saturate it with non-talent. Frankly.
That's
and I understand that everybody is somebody's favorite artist. I don't think that everybody that has a microphone should put out a song. I don't think that's a thing. And I do think that it's very hard for really amazing artists to kind of break through. But it's becoming not as much of an issue because independent artists are able to really soar right now. They're high in demand. People love it. They love that they're interacting with the artists. They love that they're talking to the bands. They love that sense of access that they're getting for that online is providing them, where they have live streams, they talk to their fans, and they get to interact. So that's helping the independent artists, because the record label artists are still held on this high pedestal, and they're out of reach and they're out of touch. And, people are, sure, a lot of people are, they want to grab them when they're on stage. But on the flip side, they have no actual connection to them.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because in the before times, 70s, 80s, 90s, that's all there was. There was the ivory tower, and there wasn't.
Yes.
And now in this like late 2000s, early 2010s, that all of these tools that Mel and I are talking about came online. They give us the ability to create these communities, and yes, we sustain our craft through other artistic ventures, but what I'm saying is I think that's going to become more common, especially in the like indie tier that you're talking about.
Right.
Because it's if you can find the magic of, hey, the art is supporting itself enough, but I can also support myself through XYZ channel, whatever hustle that may be, the more likely it is that the project will persist for a long time, because like I said, there aren't enough record contracts to go around.
There's not. And plus, I mean, if you can make money and keep it, and and you can pull it off independently, who honestly wouldn't if they were able to make that happen?
Yeah.
As much as being signed could skyrocket someone, put them in the limelight, get them on some amazing radio stations, tours, do all these things. When it comes down to it, if you could do the same, maybe not that tour, maybe not that radio station, but you could sustain what you're doing and keep putting out music and actually build your fan base without, being under that umbrella. And then you could keep it because, it's going directly back into what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, most people would say they would.
Most people would say they would. And actually, like, I've been sort of faced with that choice once before. And honestly, so my story, and probably a lot of the story of the people in our band is going to be similar. But I wouldn't want to give up video games. I really, really like making video games. I found myself in the spot one time early in a Dark Halo where I was very seriously having to consider giving all of that up in order to do only a Dark Halo, and could have done that. Could have done the thing and lived in the van and given up making video games, because I mean this is before remote working on a bus, right?
Right, exactly. No, I get that.
But I enjoy that part of the work enough. Like I love working with video games enough that I wouldn't want to give it up, even if I could have a Dark Halo 24 hours, 7 days a week. I would still want to like make some game from the tour bus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I'm not saying don't sign us.
No, but that's real though. That's real though, because it's a passion of yours and it's something you absolutely love to do. And I'm not saying that everyone can have their cake and eat it too, but I mean, you have the opportunity to stay with something you absolutely love. That, I mean, I completely agree that, that's a good decision. I mean, in my opinion, but I'm just me, in my opinion. I work from home, and every waking moment that I have, I'm doing stuff to try to further myself into the space that I want to be, that I am not in right now. I've worked over 20 years in the field that I'm in, and I'm bored. I'm just bored. Yeah. And I can't stand it. So I do all of this other stuff on the side with the eventual intention of being able to make it lucrative enough that I can do what I love.
And I think
so if there's something you love to do and you get paid for it, I mean, come on now.
Come on now. Well, and the other thing that I think, at least we've discovered in a Dark Halo is making metal albums and videos and making video games are closely enough related, believe it or not, that they've been beneficial to one another. My metal career has benefited my video game career, and vice versa. Mine, and not just mine, like other people's video games career have benefited their metal career, and vice versa. It's crazy. It's helped me get jobs. It's helped establish me with other people in the industry that are tertiary to video game audio, but they can relate more on the metal front. And also, the video production, I mean, it's a lot of the same skills. It's managing a timeline, it's gathering resources, it's overseeing an artistic vision. There's more crossover than there's not. Um, just my opinion. I don't know, Mel, if you want to weigh in on that, but
Um, yeah, I mean, I think you said it best. Like, again, with it being so small, it's just easier to cross pollinate across projects for sure.
it
I
is.
mean, is that something you want us to sustain? Like, is it something that you want to continue to have multiple projects going on? Is that like a something you would like to maintain? I'm not saying, okay, if you had an opportunity to, go on tour with insert whoever you'd want to go on tour
Hmm.
with one, then you had to pick one, but you'd have to end all the other projects. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, it's kind of impossible, you
It's
really want to succeed, but would you want to continue having multiple projects going forward, or would you really want to find the one that really works and that can stay with that?
I would like to, and actually I want to hear what Mel says about this too. But speaking for myself, I think what I would like is the idea of the fantastic possibilities there. Like, I think it would be cool to be able to sample that. Like, it would be cool if someone could offer a Dark Halo this really weird touring contract that doesn't exist of, hey, we're going to pay you the salary that you're used to making through your game career, but you're going to do only a Dark Halo for a year, 18 months, something like
Right.
that. And then I could try that and see if I love that as much as having games and a Dark Halo.
You could
If
try
I
before you buy.
try before you buy. But I can't look you in the eye. Really, I think now that I'm having to articulate this in real time and say I would be happy with only one, because they all give me different outlets for
Exactly.
different wiggles.
That was a great way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. Each has their place in our hearts. So choosing one over the other would feel wrong.
Would feel wrong, and at this point, and this is one thing I do like about, again, for better or for worse, state of the industry. We don't have to choose, and I think that's pretty cool because there was a
Hmm.
time where you absolutely totally had to choose,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
now you can be a full time game developer and a metal musician. That's a thing a person can do.
Hmm.
And see, I know that was a mean question. I knew that that was a mean question.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that that was going to be one, like, okay, bottom line is, if I could take, I mean, think of it this way. In my head, I know, knowing for a fact that there are projects you guys are on consistently together. And if one of you had the opportunity to take that one project and to make it hit the, I mean, like skyrocket
Hmm.
into the stratosphere and go on tour and get paid and have albums, I'm talking like you've made it. Like Metallica made it, okay?
Like the
Do
crazy,
you know what
like,
I'm saying?
yeah, like
And
the
then one of
rock and
you's
roll
like,
fairy from the
well,
'80s and comes and
I would
blesses you.
never. I always want to have. I know that it's a sticky one. I know that. I was just
You
curious because you guys seem
you
to really
also
like.
I was gonna say you also have to consider why we started, and it wasn't to get famous because that's the mindset that most musicians tend to fall into is they're like, all right, we're gonna make all this money and like get famous and people are gonna love us and like girls are gonna throw their tops on stage and whatever, have you. That's the horrible mindset that ruins a musician's career quickly.
Yes.
The reason we do this is because we love doing it and we'll continue doing it. And anyone who says that that music is a profitable business is probably pulling strings somewhere else, making bigger deals than the lower fish are able to see.
I
So
completely agree.
I I got caught up a while ago in trying to make myself famous and trying to make money doing this thing that I absolutely love. And I can't say that that's never crossed my mind because of course it does.
Hey,
I lost my creative flow. I lost who I was, and I wasn't paying attention to just the flow of life and it coming naturally. You know, why I'm doing music is because I love singing and I love how music makes me feel. And once you take away that aspect, you lose the center of what it all means.
Do you think that that contributes to why some really very successful artists spiral and crash? Because they started because they absolutely loved it, and they did it because for the love of the music, and then they hit that stride and they made that fame, and it suddenly, that love, like it wasn't about that anymore, and it kind of turned them into a shell, maybe. I don't know, that's a weird word to use,
No,
but
no. I think there's a lot of reasons why musicians spiral. One of them being exactly what you're saying is, you know, the focus is in the wrong area, but we also live in a world where things are very political right now. And the daunting thoughts of war and people without food, water, shelter can have a great effect on someone. And that someone includes me, and why I haven't released music since 2020. It's it's been very daunting. It's been a lot. And I'm super thankful, this, you know, full circle, for Dave and Joe that have the motivation to push through whatever they're dealing with, because guess what? We're all dealing with something, and at a scale that the other can't imagine. So that the fact that Joe and Dave have been pushing forward in such a time that we're in right now is truly inspiring. But to kind of get back on track full circle, I think that reason alone, just the fame, running after fame, can definitely make someone spiral. But I think the economy and just someone's environment can also cause havoc.
I can understand that. I mean, I know a lot of people that, some people like to dabble into the political space or the current event space, and some people don't. I'm one of those weird people that pays attention but doesn't talk about it,
Hmm.
because I'm I prefer, I don't want to say I prefer solutions. I prefer not to, I don't need to convince anyone of my stance, and I don't need anyone to convince me of theirs. I'm happy to hear them, and I'm very open to other, inputs and other, opinions and, discussion. But, when most people tend to enter that space with a, opinion that you have to agree or else, and they want to, beat it into your head. And unfortunately, I've seen even artists that go into the political space where, I'm not saying they don't belong, but I don't think a lot of times, you shouldn't use your fan base to try to sway things one way or another. I just, if people agree with you or don't agree, I don't think you should tell them, you're not my fan if you don't do what I say.
Totally.
That's iffy for me.
Yeah.
I stay away from it personally, because I can't give anything that's going to be a helpful comment or action in this moment to make it better. Does that make sense?
It does, and I had an experience with a friend one time, that it is a dear friend. It was just one of those moments where you realize that there are um, different paradigms of what define reality for people, and
Right.
the thing that we were talking about was the fact that a dark halo as an entity is very apolitical. And that's not because I don't have opinions or Mel doesn't have opinions. It's because we very intentionally created this thing and a community and a family that can all get together at the metal watering hole and be humans together, and we can love each other, and we can not worry about whatever. There is, my point I was making to my friend is that there are a zillion other places on the internet that if you want to go be mad or righteous or whatever about whatever,
Right.
that you can. And I just wanted to create something different than that. And he couldn't understand for the life of him, like, you've got this platform, you've got followers now, you should be screaming from the rooftops about political this, X, Y, Z, right? You sort of implying that I was like morally obligated to use my platform for that. And my response was just, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. We've got a community of people that like actually love each other, and strangers that are being actually kind to each other, and people that are starting to understand different lifestyles, different backgrounds. Like, why would I go wreck that up? You know? Yeah.
I don't think that discussion belongs everywhere in every aspect of everything. I think there's gotta be, and I'm not a fan of the word safe spaces. I'm not really a fan of that because, you know, with my past and my history, I mean, there's no such thing. Screen, but she's right there. You can't see her. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. I'll be off in a few, baby. Love you.
I would just.
That
Very
should probably
cute.
stay. That should probably stay.
Yeah.
She always video bombs me, and it's fine because, you know, everybody knows who she is. I talk about her all the time. My other kids are adults now, but all I'm saying is that I'm with my history. Safe spaces are, you kind of make your own secure space. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't need someone
Absolutely.
to provide that for me. However, I don't think that every discussion belongs in every place at every time. I don't think every time I see my family that I have to discuss, you know, a presidential election, or I need to discuss, you know, what happened to that person in LA that, you know, a couple days ago. I don't think that discussion always needs to happen. I think there's a time and a place, and I don't choose my social interactions to be that place. If I want to address that, I keep that very close to myself. I don't tend to talk about it, but I will set up my own little time to talk about that, and that will be acknowledged, and that will be like I go to somewhere to do that. I don't bring it into where I'm at. I just don't think it needs to be applicable because some people are very, you know, it hurts them hard, like really hard. When there's nothing you can do. I'm not saying in general. I'm not saying that as a social statement. I'm saying you at this exact moment, if we were to talk about any of these subjects, is there something in the next 35 seconds that you can do that will fix something? No, not in the next 35 seconds, right? Like, you're not going to like wave your magic wand and things are going to be fixed. And people assume that if you don't agree with them, then you're not fixing things, and then they get mad. And, you know, just because it's metal doesn't mean you got to be mad. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, you just got to be mad at the right stuff, right?
Yeah, you could just be mad at like tone, you know?
Yeah, I've been mad at like there's one video of me yelling at a fire. I was mad at that fire. The fire had it coming.
My favorite reels are the ones like when people are vacuuming to metal music.
Oh yeah, just like
Cleaning
losing
their
their mind.
house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and find a clip of that so I can put it on here because I think that's hilarious. Where they're like, ah, and they're
Just
like
like
running
whipping their hair around.
slamming around, they're making their bed, and it's like the best way to clean your house. I love to say music to vacuum by, you know,
Yeah.
be pumping in, turn on the vacuum, you know. I can't hear the words. That's cool. I couldn't anyway.
Yeah. A dark halo. Clean your house.
It should be like a package deal with a vacuum. You get a shop vac and you get a CD. You know, win-win.
Yeah.
Get advertisement. I'm just kidding.
That's
No,
okay.
I understand what you're saying, and I do appreciate when excuse me. I really do appreciate when people kind of separate, and they don't have to bring every opinion from every space in their world and in their life into every aspect of everything. It doesn't
and
always need to be there.
I
but
just
sometimes
can't
people
do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, there are artists, some of which you're probably familiar with too. You know, I don't need to name names, but there are artists out there that do get political, and it's part of their whole like thing. And it doesn't bother me when someone else does it, as long
looking
as
behind me. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. There's some names back there, but it does not bother me when somebody
Right.
gets political in their music as long as they are speaking their truth.
Right.
Whereas, like,
And
yeah, and that doesn't mean I have to agree with every bar spit. That doesn't mean I have to listen to it, right? But
thank you. That's
yeah,
what I was hoping for. You don't have to listen. If you don't want to hear it, then don't listen. If you
Yeah.
don't agree, well, I
and
don't agree with that, and you
yeah,
move
and
on.
conversely, like my whole thing is like just from the very bottom of my heart, friends, I just don't want to do it. I don't
I get it.
I don't have it in me. Um, I much more enjoy building up what we have with the Dark Halo, which is it's starting to feel less like a band all the time and more like a chosen family. Um,
Yes.
and I know there are people. I just people have social feeds. I know there are people that have opinions different than mine. I know that we have friends that have different opinions than other friends, but I sort of see it as, and maybe this is just me being a Pollyanna or just giving myself too much credit or whatever, but I kind of like treating a Dark Halo and the community around it as an experimental microcosm to see if we can't be a little more loving towards each other and a little more accepting and understanding. So like if a Republican and a Democrat come to a Dark Halo Voices of Woe, chances are they'll never even know what the other
Exactly.
person believes, but they'll know that the
Because
other
it doesn't
person.
matter, really.
Yeah,
When it comes down to it at the end, does it really matter?
it's yeah,
I mean, at that moment where things like are done and, you whatever you believe in at the afterlife or lack thereof,
mhm.
at that moment, does that matter? Like,
Yeah,
at
we're
all?
doing
It doesn't.
outside of a Dark Halo, like yeah, let those things matter. Be if you want to be an activist, go be an activist, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not knocking anything anybody else wants to do. All I'm saying is you're not gonna hear it in ADH, and that's why.
I completely respect that. I
Yeah.
completely understand and I respect that. And I applaud you for that because it's not easy to keep that out. Sometimes people want to go there and, you have to gently. No, that's.
No, I've
Wait.
been mad about stuff, and I think maybe that's part of the problem is like a lot of times bars getting spit come from a place of being mad about whatever, right? And it's not like I've never been mad about something. It's not like I
Right.
haven't wanted to even maybe capture that thought and spit some bars, but I've tried to be careful whenever I do anything even close to that to make sure that I'm taking into account the worldviews and experiences of the people that I love, right? And a lot of times that's led me to more productive solutions than being angry in the first place. So I don't know.
And I mean, and you said you're very like empathetic. You said that when we were talking about music earlier, and I said something about how songs generally don't make me cry,
Hmm.
and you're like, what?
Oh
So
yeah.
those things in general hit you pretty hard. I mean, they hit you pretty well, So I can understand where some of those subject matters, especially, with you not, since 2020, you said, except that they were kind of helping you kind of get back into, participating and putting out music and things of that nature. But I can understand where, that not being just like a part of what you're doing
Hmm.
would be helpful and would be a little bit healing. You don't have to necessarily address that on every song that you write.
Yeah.
I
No.
would assume. I'm just asking. I mean, I don't really know. I'm just making random observations,
No.
but
You're exactly right. And I just don't. And again, people can treat all of their bands however they want to treat it. It's just I don't have it in my heart um, to deny anybody any capable musician that can help make our art better and help bring the family together. I really can't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just can't push people away that quickly over opinions, whether I agree with them or not.
I
And
agree.
maybe that's bad. That maybe that's a character failure, but I sort of view it as a strength to be able to parlay with as many different types of people as possible.
Some of my best friends are people that I think are idiots half the time.
Yeah, it's exactly.
I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
Yeah.
You do you. Like, I literally will tell them, they'll say something, I hated that song. I'm like, well, I can't help that you're
Yeah,
but okay.
and that's fine. That space exists. There are a million places on the internet that space exists, and I just I'm just not gonna build one. I just not gonna do it.
If you only were around people that were just like you, and like everybody's heard this one, right? If you're around everybody that's just like you, and everything's the same, and you all agree, how boring.
Yeah.
Somebody goes rah rah, and that person goes yeah rah rah, and you're like, oh well rah rah, and they're like rah rah, and you're both like, well that was fun. Like, you gotta get like somebody in there to be like, so but what about rah? You know?
Yeah.
You gotta change it up a little. I'm just saying.
No. I think that's
I'm
one
not
of
a fan of echo chambers in any way, shape, or form. I think that they're counterproductive, and I think that they're detrimental, and I think that they are algorithms throw people into echo chambers of their own making without their consent. They know, but they don't know. That's a whole conversation. I'm just saying. I have a whole thing against the whole echo chamber thing. I don't think that the only thing you should see is what you tend to click on. You should get a chance to see something that maybe you didn't expect and learn something. Like, be still my heart,
I think that is a very healthy, very human, and in my opinion, very necessary attitude. If we're going to, because we're only just now, it's crazy. Like on the scale of human time, like how very short of a period it's been that we've been dealing with things like cyber disinformation. I mean, we've been dealing with things like famine for 1,000,000 years. We've been dealing with things like war for 1,000,000 years, right? But now this concept of somebody, good actor, bad actor, whatever, somebody halfway across the planet can be in a different country, can plant a bad idea in 1,000,000 other minds with the click of a mouse, the click of a phone, right? That's new space to and I just I think having that perspective that listening as much as you're talking is probably an important skill to help navigate that. I've certainly been a victim of it. Like I said, I've gotten mad about some stuff. But what has that got me? When I'm helping other people, that gets me something. Being mad and yelling, and this is again just me personally, being mad and yelling doesn't get me anything. It doesn't get anybody else anything. Building someone else's life up, that gives to them and gives to me. So that's just, I don't know. That's what a dark hill. Yeah, Dave's a hippie, whatever.
That's not a hippie. That's a mature. That's an intelligent way to look at things, in my opinion. But of course, that's my opinion. Everything that is on this podcast is basically my opinion. So if people don't like it, I mean, there's a button that they can click off. I mean, they're welcome. Don't let the door hit you, or do whatever. I mean, that's the whole point. Is I want opinions, and like I've said, I've made it very, very clear. I want opinions to know where your brain is at, where your thought process, what brings your creative process to the forefront, right? What makes you tick? What brought you guys together? What do you enjoy? If you were to say, hey, this is who I am, but I also want to know what's something that just makes you like, ugh, or something that you're like, you know what, this really could have thrown me completely off track. Or to say, you know what, Kat, I get that you think you know what you're talking about, but see, this is what I think, and I'm open to hear it. I want all of it, And I'm gonna spout my rambling. My mom's like, you ramble and move your hands a lot. I'm like, yeah, so. But I'm gonna ramble and I'm gonna go on my rants, like all of us do. And I'm going to say, this is what I think from what I've heard and who I've spoken with. And if I'm wrong, please feel free. Like, tell me something else. Tell me a different way to see it, a different way to hear it, a different way to process that information so that I can grow and I can hopefully take this and share with other people so that maybe they can hear something a little that they didn't expect or didn't know or didn't think of in that way, and they can grow too. And that's what most people like, is they like those perspectives and they like to hear from someone else's, mindset, like where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think that to put a single word on it, rehumanizing one another is paramount to that discussion. But yeah, I don't know. I'm now I think I'm making up words. We've reached that point of the evening.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I literally do that all the time. I'm like, but sort of over there. They're like, you're what? I'm like, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But no, I know you have to go. And I know that you guys have been here for almost 2 hours. I can't thank you enough for doing this. I was so excited. And I just, our last interaction was amazing. And meeting you, and I'm pointing, and you guys don't know who I'm pointing at, but whatever. I'm sure you can guess,
Yeah.
who I'm talking to. But I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to come hang out with me. And even though it's amazingly got like ridiculously dark in here, I feel like I'm in a cave now.
Yeah.
Do you see this? The sun went down. That was half my lighting. And I didn't bother to get up and turn my light on. But anyway, for you guys to take the time out of your day, you did not have to do that. And I truly do appreciate it. And I respect your art and the work and the music that you guys have been putting out. I respect your processes, and I really appreciate you guys kind of letting me dig into that a little bit and just showing people like where you come from. And and I'm also, like I said, I'm gonna put in some of the songs and some of the pieces of that, and to give them some examples. And if you copyright me, I'm not monetized, so I don't care. Feel free. Just don't block it. That's all I ask.
I would just throw this like right back at you. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with us. Mm-hmm. And I very much appreciate the work that you've done with and for the reactor communities, the music communities, hip hop, metal, all of that. Like once Kudasari introduced me to your world, like it became immediately apparent like how valuable it is to be able to have these discussions, and that you would let us have one with you on this fine evening. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. I'm excited. Yeah. Like, I absolutely love to do this, and I've been honing other skills, but I wanted to get back into doing this, and I really wanted to bring somebody on that I respect. And I know that you and I have been talking for a while, and kind of, let's do. And I was, when you said you were bringing her, I was like, yay! I'm so excited. Yeah. But no, I mean, seriously. I mean, I love boss ladies, especially boss ladies with pipes. Like, come on, you kidding me? It's ridiculous. Everything I wish that I could have but don't. I can butcher Bohemian Rhapsody like nobody's business. I am like the absolute best. My poor kids, I'll just belt it out in the middle of the house, and they're like, oh my god. But so I mean, I have skills. No, but to go on with some of the tangents and things of that nature, like I said, I'm not going to cut out anything important and crazy. I'm going to cut out coughing. I'm going to cut out some of the random things like that. I'm definitely going to make sure that I put you guys forward in the best light possible, because and like I said, I'm not going to edit things, like take things out for context. I'm not doing any of that.
Sure.
And I'm going to give it to you before when I'm done, so you guys can have an opportunity to take a look yourself and make sure it's what you want. And hopefully get some more eyes and maybe some more subscribers. I mean, for what that's worth, and just get some information out there for people who maybe just think metal is just this screamy loud stuff. Like and maybe like educate some people. Let them know there's people that are doing this screamy, loud stuff, and they matter.
Well, yeah, and inversely, I hope that because we're definitely going to be yelling loudly about this podcast when it's ready, when you post it. So hopefully we can drive some of our fam into your fam too.
No, that would be amazing. And honestly, I'm also, because I edit now. Yeah. I know it's tough. So I make like clips and things like that. Like you saw my reel from like yesterday or
Hmm.
whenever I posted that. So I took a piece of it, so that there's like little blurbs to say, hey guys, like if you want to see the whole thing, go over there and check it out. And I'll be happy to give those to you guys if you want to post them, if there's something that you like, or if there's anything you see in it when I send it to you and you're like, hey, I liked that. Can you pull that part? I will pull it for you. That's not even a problem. And give you, and so it'll be all like high quality and all that stuff. And then definitely, that collaboration and that crisscrossing and introducing people to other things, and maybe through me they might see another artist or band, or someone meet someone in the chat that they might like, and you just never know.
You
It'll
just
be
never
great.
know.
Yeah,
But
thank you so much for this. By the way, I just wanted to squeeze that in there. I appreciate being invited to stuff like this. It's always fun to kind of talk to someone about our thoughts and actually kind of hear it come out as podcasts normally do.
no, thank you for being here.